People of Reddit. What terrible path in life no one should ever take. Serious. Brush your teeth. Can't begin to understand why I let mine rot. But while dentures may be easier to look after, they will never be as comfortable or as functional as my original set. This needs to be way higher up. I can't stress how important it is to brush at least twice a day. Especially before bed. Out of curiosity, how bad were your guys' brushing habits and for how long? As a child, my brushing habits were fine as far as I can remember. But I still ended up with a mouthful of cavities. And now my teeth are continuing to have issues as I and the fillings get older. On the other hand, my wife and her 10 siblings never had a single cavity growing up. And she describes her childhood brushing habits as much more lax than mine. It seems some people just have better teeth than others. But I'll tell you, from personal experience, I don't care how strong you think your teeth are. Do your best to take care of them. Because they don't grow back. Living with unhealthy teeth can get very painful. And fixing them is expensive. Marrying for money. My mom lives around a sea of housewives who all want to leave their husbands but can't because they've never had a career and wouldn't be able to survive on their own financially. Basically the town I grew up in. Hot trophy wives left and right that only married for money. Not all the moms were gold diggers, but a good majority were just living their best life on their rich husband's dime. Shopping, cars, fancy brunches with the other trophy wives. It is so very obvious. They would not survive 2 weeks on their own. Joining an MLM. It's a financial disaster unless you are one of the very few people who are in at the beginning or have a large following that will buy what you sell and have proven this already. MLM products are expensive and low quality, and the way they make money is predatory and not logically possible for anyone not at the top of the scheme. Don't buy MLM. You are only enabling your friends, family, acquaintances, etc. to stay in this scam for longer and lose more money in the long run if you do. You will not be helping them. Just like you wouldn't give alcohol to an alcoholic. Don't give money to an MLM. No matter who is selling it. I refuse to buy from MLMs. And every couple weeks or so I see someone else in my social network get roped into lip-sense. Color Street, Arbonne, etc. And I brace myself for the, "Hey girl," message. Thankfully no one's gotten too aggressive or guilt-trippy yet. But I know how these companies convince you that, if your friends truly care about you, they'll try the product and help you grow your business, which leads some distributors to take rejection super personally. It's super sad to see friends get sucked in too. You watch them lose more and more money and see them begging for people to buy online. It's hard because you want to help but don't want the products and know it wouldn't help anyways. They only see it as you letting them down. People pleasing. As a wise man once said, you can't make everyone happy. You're not pizza. Neglecting your own health. Used to think I'm damn near invincible because I'm still young. Worked about 70 hours a week just for that damn raise. Neglected health checkups just because I can. Got diagnosed with glaucoma and my left eye is quite fucked up. Not sure what the future holds for me, but I'm damn sure taking care of my body now. I read this after I've just been given a month off for a concussion I got a few weeks ago. My natural instinct is to power through it, but then I read this and think my health isn't worth this 9 to 5 at the end of the day. A relationship for the sake of having a relationship. Or ignoring the doubts that should really be considered. You may just end up in an abusive marriage that lasts far too long because you no longer have the self-confidence to leave and do what's best for your child. Just a hypothetical, of course. Not the worst. But procrastination. It becomes a habit really fast from my experience. I never stopped procrastinating. Which is something that I hate. Sorry if the comment is a bit misleading, but I don't have any advice on how to stop since I am unable to myself. I'll start exercising tomorrow. I'll clean up later. I started saying these things years ago and only recently started running again. I used to be able to do 300 sit-ups almost every day. Now, I can barely 35, but that's progress from when I could only do 10. Oof. Yeah. I have a bad habit of leaving trash pile up around my apartment. I live by myself. Never have friends over, and telling myself I'll clean up on my day off, but then my day off comes and I'm like, oh, I don't wanna waste it cleaning up this big mess, so then I just live in a state of filth for a few months. On Friday I finally mustered up the motivation to at least get everything in a couple garbage bags that are now waiting in my bedroom to be taken out to the dumpster. Speaking of which, I'm gonna vacuum right now since I'm not doing anything else productive at the moment. Never take the path of, I know better than everyone else. Even the absolute dumbest person can teach you something. Same goes for a person a lot younger than you or someone you can't respect. Always be willing to learn and grow. Meth. Heroin also springs to mind. Remember that Reddit user that bought some on a whim? Did an AMA about the experience and then ended up going through years of addiction hell. Dying from an OD, then being revived and finally getting clean. Nicotine addiction. It's really hard to quit. I haven't smoked in years and I get cravings now and then. I can't imagine how hard it would be if I had been a regular smoker. I smoked for 10 years. I'm not going to say it was easy to quit because it's not, but it's not as hard as people make it out to be. The beginning is obviously the hardest part, but if you can get through week 1, every week after that gets easier and easier. Once you get to a point that you can feel the difference in health, it's easy to just be like, no, I don't want to feel how smoking made me feel anymore. One thing that helped me the most is that I essentially forced myself to say in my head whenever I wanted a cigarette, I don't smoke. I'm not a smoker anymore. It sounds dumb, but if you commit to yourself in that way, it's more motivating than saying, I'm going to try to quit. Single quote. Don't self-medicate with booze and/or drugs, the former being my problem for years. Find out the reason why you want to self-medicate in the first place and get the appropriate help guidance. Also, don't self-medicate with food. This is the one that crept up on me when I developed a chronic illness. A childhood of bad experiences with an alcoholic dad saved me from booze, drugs. But comfort eating plus a decreased ability to exercise is a potent mix. Thor from Endgame was a big eye-opener for where I was personally. Living a life based only on the assumptions of someone who feeds on your admiration, parent, mentor, abusive relationship, etc. Can you please explain it to me? Didn't quite get it. Sometimes egotistical, narcissists, STS or overbearing people are in a position of authority in your life, or have the advantage of your love for them. Parental, mentoring and parents-L relations are usually founded on some type of admiration. So are romantic, infatuation relationships. There may be the conditioning dynamics, they raised you or you think they are more important. This allows them to dictate your actions. The problem with this is their love is conditional and they are never satisfied. It's like a donkey chasing the proverbial carrot. Finding yourself trying to fit their mold will be exhausting. It's best to ask ourselves, if I do what really makes me happy, will this person respect me? Or, am I doing this for me or to gain their approval? Picking a career path to fulfill your parents' dream. It almost ruined my self-identity. Currently I am doing a course I like at a university of my choice. I might have destroyed my relationship with my mother, but for the sake of my own sanity it was worth it. My brother's girlfriend wanted to go to school for nursing. Her parents told her not to do that because then her only option would be to be a nurse. She spent 4 years getting her bachelor's in something else, then ended up having to spend 2 years at community college to get her associate's in nursing, which is what she wanted in the first place. Waste of so much time and money. Living on other people's opinions. I fairly often ask other people's opinion on me 'cause they can see me more objectively than I can. I never said I rely on other opinions. I have a certain opinion about myself and the things I do, and by asking others for their opinion on me I'm checking if I'm right or wrong. I hear their opinion, process it and decide if I think they're right or wrong. It's certainly better for self-improvement than disregarding anything anyone tells you. At least in my opinion. Which is fine if you know how to be responsible with that information. I.e., don't obsess over it. Change what you can and would want to change. And be confident in the parts you don't want to change. Unless people's opinion is that you're an asshole, and you don't want to change from being an asshole. Closing parenthesis. A life of asking questions without making an effort to find out. Does he secretly hate me? Will she be disgusted if I asked her out? Would I be wasting my time if I studied to be a professional ice cream maker? Will I be happy if I leave him? Is this lump going to be a problem? Etc. Worse still, some people make up their own pessimistic Dismissive answers. Of course he hates me. I'm a piece of shit. Of course she won't go out with me. She probably likes that asshole Chad. Of course I'll never make money making custom ice cream. That's a stupid dream. Of course I'm not going to be happy. He beats me, but who else is going to love me? This lump is probably nothing. And if it is cancer, I don't want to confirm it. Have a question? Find out the answer. Toxic friends or family. Offload those people. Life is too short for that kind of stress. This is absolutely true. Don't feel like you have to be the better sibling to people who treat you like garbage. There is a reason so many people live so far away from family members. I cut my mother out 2 months ago and the relief I feel is amazing. But obviously I am the bad one. Toxic family members hate taking accountability for their actions. There is nothing wrong holding the people in your life accountable for the toxicity they bring into your life. It is simply unacceptable to hold someone so close to your heart, who only wants to see you fail or fall. Hope this helps, friend. Living a life guided by what you see on social media. Social comparison, especially upward social comparison, is something we all do. And at times it can be a positive, motivational force for us to better our lives to match those of others, or it can be a negative one that make us feel shittier about ourselves. The thing about social media, however, is that it plays into the negatives of social comparison. As people, whether our friends, family, or celebrities, tend to only share the highlights of their lives on social media. Whether it's a vacation at an exotic location, an accomplishment such as graduation, and in general just the nicer parts of life. This leads to an unrealistic perception that other people's lives are all sunshine and rainbows, in comparison to our own dull lives, when viewed from the lens of social media. The fact is that life for everyone isn't actually as interesting as we think it is. But yet our warped view of it becomes an unattainable benchmark that some would fall into the trap of setting for themselves. We come to be deceived into believing that if our lives aren't all hunky-dory, then we are failing at life. Intrinsically, it may make us less content with our own lives, less grateful for what we have, bitter even. Extrinsically, we may end up doing a lot of unnecessary things to delude others and ourselves that our lives are just as great. Overcompensating by doing things that we aren't actually intrinsically happy doing, but just for the sake of embellishing our lives for the gram. After all, if we're comparing our lives to others on social media, they'd be comparing theirs to ours too, right? Well, I better look damn good for it then. When in reality, most people don't care much about how you live your life, they're too busy with theirs. I'm rambling, but I guess I feel so strongly about this because it's something that I've only recently woken up to. And I've been a lot happier since. Just living a down-to-earth life in the present, in the real world, is a lot more satisfying in the long run. But I guess social media provides a quicker gratification that unfortunately easily turns into an unhealthy fixation. I only lasted on Facebook for a short time. Haven't had it in years. During the pandemic, I've been using Instagram and Twitter less and less. The latter still serves a purpose as a newsfeed of sorts. But it's becoming increasingly toxic. Imagine 1 million people on soapboxes in real life just yelling over top of each other. I feel like my New Year's resolution is going to get rid of all of them and spend more time reading and taking online courses.